that make group policy object.
And how many kind of GPU?
GPU, local and non-local GPU.
What are the differences between both?
So local is it allows us to add to only a particular what I can say. Like we have to visit each and every computer and add the policies. So and whereas non-local, it is like controlling from just one server. So that is non-local GPU.
Should I tell?
Yes.
Sir, actually, the local group policy will apply only to the local computer, while the non-local GPU will be applied on our domain controller. It will be stored in our Active Directory, and in that domain controller, we can easily replicate it with all the clients which are part of domain, if we want to. Or yes, sir, that is the main difference between the local and the non-local GPU.
Okay. Okay. So guys, I given you some question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So is every question is clear?
Yes.
Almost.
Okay. So I'm giving you a 2 and 3 minute of time. Okay. I've given you questions on a starting day about a Windows 10, and I given a questions to you on about a Windows server, right? In which questions you have a doubt, collect your doubt. I will back after 2 and 3 minutes, and then we'll resolve your queries.
Okay,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, so one by one, please ask your doubt now. Total, if I'm not wrong, I given you what 5-6 questions on a Windows 10 and approx 15 question in a Windows Server.
Sir, I'm having doubt in this global catalog, sir.
Global catalog.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. And any other question? Please let me know so that okay, I can write a
Super
question.
Scope, sir. The Super Scope
Super scope.
in the DHCP server.
Yeah. I know. And
And sir, how to reset the password of user which is present in Active Directory?
reset password
Which is present in Active
of
Directory.
users in AD.
Yes, sir.
And OU, sir.
And
OU.
you don't know you.
Every part, sir.
And any other doubts? Anyone?
And sir, domain joining got failed. How to troubleshoot it? Troubleshoot.
How to tell?
Hello, sir.
Troubleshoot.
That troubleshooting question.
Okay, domain joining troubleshooting, right?
Domain joining.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And please ask your doubt.
Sir, difference between FAT and NTFS.
Okay. FAT and NTFS. Okay. And
Sir, what is enterprise window?
enterprise window.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And please let me know all of your doubts on a Windows Server, Windows 10 right now, so that today I can provide you a doubt session. I can clear all your previous doubts. So that the new topics we can start.
Sir, if you can give overview of bit about the partition thing and difference between GPT and MBR.
Okay, MBR and GPT.
Like what all point we have to tell to the interviewer for this.
Okay, not an issue. I'm just asking whatever you have doubts, please let me know. Today I will clear all the things. I will give an overview about all the things and how to give an answer to the interviewer also. What is the correct way for giving an answer?
Sir, what is the event viewer in Windows?
Event viewer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And anyone other in doubts?
No, sir.
Because when I will ask a question, when I will take a mock interview, I will not listen any excuse. That's why I'm asking today, what is your doubt? Please let me know.
Drivers installation in some errors, MBR or GPT errors.
Driver installation MBR GPT error. Okay. I got your point.
MBR and NTFS and
What?
NTFS also. UEFI.
UEFI legacy. That's a part of NTFS and FAT. I will sorry, MBR and GPT. I will tell.
Yeah. Some errors in driver installation.
I
Some
will give
errors.
the answer. I got your question. I written there. And anyone other? No doubts now. Okay. So guys, now first of all, read your notebook so that what I will tell you definitions and all you can write it down. Correct. Okay. First, I will give you understanding. Then we'll tell you definitions so that all of you can understand it very easily. Okay, now I see. First of all, we have a question global catalog. So global catalog is basically now you can say is a part of a domain controller and Active Directory. How? What's happening? In Active Directory, what are you searching? Inside Active Directory, what are you searching? You are getting a result? Correct. How? because your Active Directory and because your domain controller is a global catalog by default. By default, every domain controller is a global catalog, and the work of a global catalog is for a faster searching the object in a network. So if you are searching something fastly object, right? You are searching something, you are getting some result, right? Okay, and okay, and it is also a concept. If your domain controller is a global catalog, so that one, okay, that one domain controller is known as the original domain controller. Original in the sense full access of domain controller. Okay, so in a notebook, write it down. Okay, global catalog is a domain controller in Active Directory. Global catalog is a domain controller in Active Directory. Global catalog is a domain controller in Active Directory, which helps us for a faster searching. Which helps us for faster searching the object in a domain. Which helps us for faster searching the object in a domain.
Faster searching.
Yeah, how are you listening? Faster searching the object in a domain. Faster searching the object in a domain. Means simple thing in Active Directory. Okay, what are you searching? You are getting a perfect result. Okay, you are okay in a group policy. Okay, you are using a filter option. Okay, you are getting a perfect result. Why? Because the domain control is a global catalog. Your domain control is a global catalog. Okay, and one more. Okay, one more point. Also write it down. One more point. By default, every domain controller is a global catalog. By default, every domain controller is a global catalog. By default, every domain controller is a global catalog. Okay. Now see, next one you have a super scope. So first of all, as you know, scope means the range of IP address in a DSCP. Scope. Scope means the range of IP address in a DSCP server. So super scope means collection of multiple scopes. Means okay, this is a scope A, 1 scope, 2 scope, 3 scope, 4 means in a one DSCP server you can get a multiple scope. Okay, so if you want to get a multiple scope, okay, so first of all you need to create a super scope. Inside a super scope you can add a multiple scopes, multiple IP address ranges if your requirement is a very vast in a company. So that's why in your notebook write it down. The collection of scope in a DSCP server is known as a super scope. The collection of scope in a DSCP server known as super scope. Known as super scope. Clear?
Sir, one question is there, sir.
Yes.
So you told that all domain controller is a global catalog, sir.
Yes.
So, but sir, every global catalog we can tell a domain controller, but all domain controller is not a sir, global catalog. Sir, because like, sir, because when while installing domain controller, sir, there is option like this. If you want to use this domain controller, as a global catalog,
by
so
default,
there we
global catalog is clicked, checked in, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's why we are saying that by default, every domain controller is a global catalog, and you can't uncheck a global catalog as well as you can try.
Okay. Okay.
You can't uncheck that one. Things will be not highlighted there.
Okay.
So that's why we are saying that every domain controller is a global catalog by default.
Okay, by default. Okay.
Right. Now I see. Now reset password of user seniority. How to set a password of user seniority? Simple thing. You can go to tools option. Okay, tools option, you will get an option of AD users and computers, right? AD users and computers. Okay. And then you will get an option of user section. Okay, otherwise some OU. Correct. Okay, you will see a username. For example, username is Harry. Okay, you want to reset a password of Harry. So in a hurry, you can right click. You can click on reset password. Okay, and you can set a new password. So password will reset. Very easy. Right click. You can click on reset password. Okay, and then you can set a new password. Set a new password. So without giving the old password, you are able to reset a new password. Okay, this is a way. Then what is OU? As all of you know, OU stand for organizational unit. OU stand for organizational unit. Organizational unit. Okay, what is OU? So OU is a container that contains Active Directory object. Means inside a OU we can add users, computers, we can apply policies, because OU behaves like a department. Correct. If you don't want to apply policy on a whole domain, in a whole domain controller, so we can create a OU and we can apply policy on a OU. So that's okay. In your notebook, write it down. What is OU? OU is a container in Active Directory. OU is a container in Active Directory that contains Active Directory object, that contains Active Directory object in a domain. That contains Active Directory object in a domain. That contains Active Directory object in a domain. That contains Active Directory domain. Okay. That contains Active Directory object in a domain. Means inside OU you can add a users, as you know. Computers we can move from a current section to a particular OU. OU represent our departments actually. Okay, and OU is the best way of managing users and computers, you know. Then we have a domain joining troubleshooting. The domain joining troubleshooting means if during a domain joining process any error is coming, like a domain joining got failed, so how to resolve it? So it's a very easy. First of all, in a domain joining process, some error will come, then it will give error, right? Means if you will do something wrong while domain joining process, if you will do something wrong while domain joining process, then the error will come. Means, okay, so you can write it down, the answers. Number 1, check IP address and DNS server IP address. Check IP address and DNS server IP address. Number 2, check username and password of, check username and password. Number 3, check the domain name spelling. Number 3, check the domain name spelling. 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 It's a simple thing. If the domain joining process, okay, you are getting some error, means what is the process you followed? Okay, maybe you have given a wrong IP address, wrong DNS server IP address, or wrong domain name spelling. Okay, in a server there is a domain name tsearch.com. You are giving a tsearch.in. Okay, there. Okay, it's a caps T. Okay, everything is in a caps letter. Okay, you are giving a small letter. Okay, maybe if this is correct, maybe the username and password in which you are connecting the server to a client. Maybe that one is a error.
The domain name is a case sensitive, sir.
Yes, definitely. Sometime, okay, it's not every time. Sometime domain is a can sensitive. Okay, depends upon a condition.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, see now FAT and NTFS. Okay, so what's happening now? FAT and NTFS both are actually, you can say, file system in a Windows.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Both are a file system in a Windows. So what's happening? FAT is actually now a time every drive having an NTFS file system. For example, okay, as you're able to see, okay, I have a volume D. Okay, so volume D having a file system NTFS, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you will see in a previous time, okay, it's a FAT. So what are the differences between FAT and NTFS? Actually, FAT and NTFS having a lot of differences. What are the differences? So radio notebook and write it down. Okay, in a one side write it down FAT, in a one side write it down NTFS. FAT stand for file allocation table. FAT stand for file allocation table. FAT stand for file allocation table. File allocation table. Okay, and in the NTFS write it down. In a NTFS write it down. NTFS stand for new technology file system. NTFS stand for new technology file system. Okay. Point number 2 in a FAT. File size of FAT. File size of FAT is 4 GB. File size of FAT is 4 GB. And if it is a FAT32, and if it is a FAT32 version, and if it is a FAT32 version, so file size would be 32 GB maximum. So file size would be 32 GB maximum. File size would be 32 GB maximum. Okay, and in the NTFS side, write it down. There is no limitation of a NTFS file system. There is no limitation of a NTFS file system. There is no limitation of a NTFS file system. There is no limitation of a NTFS file system. Point number 3 in a FAT. Point number 3 in a FAT. There is no any file compression option in FAT. There is no any file compression option in FAT. There is no any file compression option in FAT. File compression, COMPRESSION, compression. File compression option in FAT. In NTFS, write it down. File compression option is available for NTFS file system. File compression option is available for NTFS file system. File compression option is available for NTFS file system. Okay, now I see, now try to understand what's happening. Actually, now FAT is the older method of a file system. Okay, in which you, okay, if you are creating any drive, for example, okay, I have a D drive having 101 GB. So actually FAT support 4 GB and FAT having a version FAT32. FAT32 support 32 GB. Means if I want to create more than a 32 GB of file, okay, more than a 32 GB of drive. Correct. So FAT and NTFS will not support us. But in a NTFS, sorry, FAT and FAT32 will not support us. FAT32 is actually a upgraded version of a FAT. But NTFS is actually a latest version in which we don't have any limitation. If we have a 1 TB of any hard disk, so we can get only a 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive having a 200 GB, 300 GB, doesn't matter. But we can't get any drive, okay, more than 32 GB in a FAT. That's a limitation. In a FAT, okay, and FAT32, any version of a FAT, there is no any file compression. Means we can't compress a file through a WinRAR and all, you know. But in a NTFS, we can compress a file. We can make a less sizer. Okay, and there's also a lot of differences. Okay, security level differences also. Okay, that you don't need to write actually 1-2 point. If you will give answer, it will be correct. Okay, okay, in a FAT and FAT32, we are only getting a file folder level security. Network level security not present. Means if any data you are sharing in a network now, like a share folder, okay, if your particular folder is in a drive and drive is in a FAT condition, so the security of a network level will not be provided by a Windows because it's a FAT partition. But NTFS provides a network level security, file level security, folder level security, means every kind of level security. Because NTFS is the latest way of a file system. That's the differences. Okay. And then you have an enterprise Windows. Actually, what's happening now? Windows having a lot of versions, it means a lot of additions. We are calling a Home Edition, Pro Edition, Enterprise Edition. This is the more famous: Pro, Home, and Enterprise. Yes. So Home Edition basically used for a personal purpose. Pro is using by a company and for personal both. But Enterprise Edition only used by a in a company, in a business purpose. Okay, Enterprise Edition having a feature like you have a direct access. Directly you can access a folder file without any credential, okay, of a share folder and all. And okay, there is an app lock facility. In a Pro and Home, we don't have facility. No, we can't lock any application. For example, I have a Zoom application, right? I want to lock Zoom application. I can't lock now through a password. I need to download a third-party application in a Windows, right? Then I can apply lock on a Zoom. Means on any application. But Enterprise Windows having a feature of inbuilt app lock. Okay, that's why Enterprise application, Enterprise Edition used by a company only, because they need a license. Enterprise Edition needs a license, which is a more costly because there are more features. So this is only. Then you have an MBR and GPT. Okay, as all of you know very well, Rahul Dasar has given you, I think so. So the differences in MBR GPT is, you can say partition style. Both are a partition style. Means how the hard disks will work in a system. If it's a MBR, it works something different. If it's a GPT, it works something different. Okay, MBR is a master boot record. GPT stands for guide partition table. Guide partition table. Okay. MBR actually supports legacy or BIOS. GPT support UEFI. What is legacy, BIOS, and UEFI? You have three things here: BIOS, legacy, and UEFI. So actually now, BIOS is the main component, basic input output system, which help you to turn on your PC. Legacy and UEFI is basically a version of a BIOS. Legacy and UEFI both are actually a version of a BIOS. Legacy is the older version, which is supported by a older PC, older hard disks, in which less security. Okay, but UEFI is the latest version of a BIOS. That's why now a time every system having a BIOS UEFI, not a legacy. Okay. So UEFI stand for Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. Okay, and there is no any full form of legacy. Because legacy means, you know, the older, traditional. We are calling it, it's a legacy of this company. It's a policy. It's an older policy, older way. Right now. So that's
Yes,
why,
sir.
okay, you can write it down, the differences between MBR and GPT. In your notebook, in a one side write it down MBR, in a one side write it down GPT. In a one side MBR, okay, in a one side GPT. Okay. So in a MBR, point number 1, MBR stands for Master Boot Record. Master Boot Record. Master Boot RSCO record. MBR stands for Master Boot Record. And GPT stands for Guide Partition Table. Guide, GUID, guide. Okay, I'm writing the spelling. Guide Partition Table. GPT stands for Guide Partition Table. MBR stands for Master Boot Record. GPT stands for Guide Partition Table. Okay, point number 2 in a MBR. MBR is introduced by the MS-DOS and IBM PC. MBR is introduced by MS-DOS, Microsoft DOS, and IBM PC. MBR is introduced by MS-DOS and MBR PC. MBR is introduced by MS-DOS and IBM PC. And in a GPT, GPT introduced by Linux. GPT is introduced by Linux. Linux, Linux. Someone is calling Linux as well as. MBR is introduced by Linux. So GPT is introduced by a Linux. MBR is introduced by a MS-DOS and IBM PC. GPT is introduced by a Linux. And then write it down. Next point, third number point. In a MBR, it is a older partition table. In a MBR side, write it down. It is the older partition table. It is the older partition table. In a GPT, write it down. It is a newer partition table. In a GPT, write it down. It is a newer, 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 new means it is a newer partition table. Next one point in a MBR. MBR support BIOS and legacy. MBR support BIOS and legacy. MBR support BIOS and legacy. BIOS and legacy. Okay. In a GPT side, GPT support UEFI. GPT support UEFI. Okay, these are the references, guys. Okay. So next one, we have an event viewer. What is the meaning of event viewer? So actually, now event viewer is a tool in a Windows. Okay, let's try to understand the meaning. It's simple meaning. What are you doing in a Windows operating system now? Everything is going to record everything. I'm using MS Paint right now. I opened a piece. Okay, means I turn on my PC in a 8 a.m. on a morning. Okay, I'm shut down my PC in a 11:30 on a night. So means what I'm doing as a user in a computer, in a Windows computer now, everything is going to record. Everything is going to track automatically in a Windows operating system. Okay, and we can see these all records by with the help of a log file. We can see this all records with the help of a log file, and that one log files we can view. We can see through a tool, event viewer tool, which is a Windows inbuilt feature. So what is happening in a Windows, we can view through a event viewer. So write it down in your notebook. Event viewer is a tool in Windows which helps us to view the events, and logs file about what is going on inside our operating system. About what is going on inside an operating system. About what is going on inside an operating system. What is going on inside an operating system? About what is going on inside an operating system. About what is going on inside an operating system. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Guys, now see, now next we have driver installation MBR. Guys, what's happening now? Sometime we are getting a problem while installing a Windows operating system and while installing any driver. Okay, after installation of Windows OS. So we are getting a problem like MBR GPT problem, NTFS problem, FAT problem. The simple reason is if your PC is a value holder, So your hard disk will be
Yes, sir.
MBR, right? So if your hard disk will be MBR, okay, and you are installing something which is a UEFI, so it will not support, na? Because MBR support legacy and a BIOS version only. So you are getting error because of the mismatching of a file system and a file system and a partition system. Partition system is a MBR, so file system should be BIOS and legacy. If partition system is a GPT, so file system should be UEFI. Sometimes it's happening that your pen drive is putted as an MBR. Sorry, okay. Your pen drive is an NTFS. Your pen drive having an NTFS. Correct. And your BIOS having a legacy. Okay. But okay, you are doing something other. Means the mismatching of a file system and partition system is creating a problem sometimes. That's why you are getting error like installation failed, driver not installed. Because what's happening, every driver is not suitable for every PC. If the driver having a suitable for a MBR partition, okay, and a FAT file system, but a driver already you used for a UEFI, for a GPT, and the same driver you are using in a MBR PC, it will not work, na? Installation will fail because everything has some level, right? Some capacity. So MBR is a very older. In a MBR, for example, your BIOS supporting UEFI. You were supporting a BIOS of UEFI, okay, latest BIOS version. But you are installing a Windows operating system, okay, in which you booted your pen drive with a MBR. So MBR will never support, okay, MBR will never support a UEFI, na? Getting my point? So that's why, okay, you are getting an installation failed.
Sir, one point I want to clear, sir.
Yes, Bhaskar, you are saying something.
Sir, you told one point in MBR and in GPT difference that in MBR it is the older partition table and GPT is the newer partition table.
Yes, right.
So can you mean what's the meaning of that?
Meaning simple. In an older PC, it's supporting MBR.
While we are creating the partition of drives?
Drives not. The
Okay.
hard disks. Partition
Yeah.
means hard disk
yes.
partition. For example, if you will see, I'm showing to you. So this is my disk management, right? So I have a 500 GB SSD.
Yes,
Correct.
sir.
So you can see I have a GPT, guide partition table, because I have a latest version of PC, latest version of operating system as well as latest version of hard disk as well as. So I'm getting GPT. So if
Okay.
you have a MBR, means you have an older version of hard disks. You have an older version of PCs as well as.
Okay.
Something will be older, it means.
Windows Vista time, sir. Or
By default, now time everything is GPT. But definitely if you will check now, so some people will here find that he and she has a MBR partition.
Okay, sir.
Okay, getting my word. Okay, and if you will see about a drive C having a NTFS. Okay, you are saying compress this drive to a saved disk. Compression option is available for a NTFS, as I given answers to you,
Yes, sir.
right?
Okay, sir.
So this is the meaning. Okay, and we are getting error in a GPT and MBR because of wrong combination. If the combination is right, the driver installation or Windows installation will never fail. Okay, I think was asking a question, Lokis. Okay, he asking a question. So the error you are getting, driver installation failed, Windows installation failed because of today. Today, I mean, yes, today on the morning I got a same error. Okay, my server machine got crash. Okay, in my live in iVision. I was installing a new server. The server having an MBR partition. Okay, and I make a bootable pen drive for GPT. While selecting making a bootable through PowerIS or Rufus software. Okay, I chosen the GPT. Okay, I was installing, I was getting error. So what I did, I again make a bootable pen drive in which I selected MBR. Okay, and then the error got resolved. With PC supporting MBR, the hard disk having already MBR partition. So how can I give a GPT? It will not take the data and anything. Getting my word? So this is a
I have
difference.
one doubt.
Yes.
One question. Sir, in MBR and GPT, we can recover the data or not?
No, in a MBR it's very difficult. In the MBR, see, nothing is impossible, right?
Yes,
We have a lot of paid software. Correct now? Lot of paid software that will help you to recover. But in a MBR, it's a means you can say 50% chances. 50% maybe no, 50% maybe yes. In a GPT, it's a 90% chances that data will recover. How? So through a third-party softwares. Correct.
It means MBR is less than to recover the data, and GPT is mostly recovered to data.
Yes, mostly. It's a mostly chances that in a GPT the data will be recover. Mostly chances. Approx 90% chances you can say. But in a MBR, it's a 50-50. Maybe not, maybe yes. Nothing surety. But in a GPT, there is a more surety. This is a thing. Okay, guys, anyone other? Okay, so we finished our Windows session. You can read whatever the things you can revise. We'll meet on tomorrow and we'll start up a new topic, which will be a Office 65. Okay.
Hello. Sir, I want Saturday class.
Yes, so he's saying.
Yes. Sanathy, sir.
Yes.
I want Saturday class screenshot, sir.
Which class?
Saturday's class.
There's nothing screenshot and all. It's only practical.
Okay.
And I don't have any screenshot for practicals and all. You missed a session, you need to take a class again.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we'll meet on tomorrow with our new topic.
Thank you.
So please revise the network topic as well as that you are doing and Windows topic as well as.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.